YouTube! Welcome back to this channel and welcome to this vlog. Today is Friday, March 6th, and I thought that I would bring you guys along for today and probably tomorrow, just a few days in my life. I have a pretty cozy day planned today. I am working from home today. I have a couple household things, laundry, I gotta clean my floors, blah, blah, blah. I'm working only a half day today, so I plan on getting that out of the way here in a little bit. It's a little bit before 9 a.m. But I also have some fun baking and meal prep planned. I want to try to make some sourdough, and I want to make some sourdough discard scones, which I've never made scones before, so I thought that that might be kind of fun to make together. And I also have groceries being delivered this morning, and I think that I might film what I am meal prepping for next week. I'm not really 100% sure what I'm making. There's a couple routes that I could take with the ingredients I bought, but I just thought that I would take you guys along with me on this cozy weekend. The weather is supposed to be a little gloomy and gray and just kind of crappy this weekend. So, yeah, I don't have any plans to really leave the house today, just do stuff around here. And then tomorrow, I actually have lunch plans with two of my good friends, so I might take you guys with me to that. And yeah, I'm gonna get some breakfast, and then I actually have a Zoom meeting at 9 that I have to do, and then I'm gonna clock into work for my half day and just get that done. But I may take some breaks here and there to start my sourdough, put my groceries away, blah, blah, blah. So on that note, let's get the day started. A couple hours later, I am actually clearly outside, taking a little break with Winnie. I started to get a pretty bad headache before my groceries showed up, so I ended up putting those away without filming it. But my plan is gonna walk outside with Winnie, get some fresh air. And I made another cup of coffee, and I'm just gonna sit and chill for a little bit, do a little bit of work, probably start my sourdough and get my sourdough discard set aside for my scones, which I will probably make later today. Sourdough is done. It's now gonna sit in the oven with the light on for an hour. If your kitchen is cold, try putting it in your oven with the light on. It's just enough, like the oven's off, don't turn it on, just put it in with the light on and try not to open it until you have to, just so that the warm air can stay in there. The light offers just enough heat to warm it up to the point where it can actually do its thing. So I have that in there for an hour, and I did not have enough sourdough starter left to do my scones, which is fine. I'm just gonna make regular scones, but I did feed my starter. I did a cup and a half of water and a cup and a half of flour. So I'm gonna let that marinate overnight so that I can make more sourdough tomorrow, and maybe I will make another batch of scones with the sourdough discard and just compare the two. But I'm gonna let that sit for an hour, and I will check back in with you guys when it is time for the stretch and folds. Hello again. It is much later. I haven't shown any of my stretch and folds yet. They're pretty lackluster, honestly, and it's kind of hard to show how to do that with one hand because I only have my hands to film with, unless I can set it on my Stanley like I am now, and oh, there we fall as I say that. Well, so I just realized that if I push my phone on my Stanley back, I actually think I can show you guys. So this is what my dough looks like, and I just picked it up. And really what you're doing is you're stretching it out. And then I'm gonna fold this over on this. So I'm gonna set that part down and then fold it over. I'm gonna do a quarter turn of my bowl, and I'm gonna grab it, and I'm just gonna do the same thing. Now these do not have to be perfect. Like there's really no, in my experience, there really is no like correct or incorrect way to do this. It gets easier when you get to like your third and fourth stretch and fold. It starts to look more like pizza dough than like the shaggy dough that you get when you first mix stuff up. So last one, and then this is my last one. And then after this, I do have to look at the recipe, but I think I let it sit in the oven for 3 hours, which is great because I have other stuff that I want to do than hanging around the house waiting to do the bread. So I will show you guys what this looks like. So this is what my dough looks like. As you can see, it's kind of got a shiny texture to it. Probably can't see in the light, but, and it's got some bounce to it. So I lied, it's 2 hours. So I'm gonna let that hang in the oven for 2 hours. I'm gonna eat some lunch, maybe go for a walk. Maybe. The sun's kind of coming out. I don't know. I don't really know if it knows what it wants to do today, but it's cold enough that I know Winnie won't go with me, so I'd have to go for a walk by myself, but we'll see if the mood strikes. It's later. I got in from walking with Winnie, took a quick shower, brought up the laundry I have to fold. It's pretty big, I don't want to show you. And I am about to take my bread out of the oven and shape it to let it proof in the fridge for 2 more hours before I bake it. And I was just going to write down my scone recipe for tomorrow with no sourdough until I realized that this is what my starter looks like. I think it is begging to be used, so I am going to use some in my scone recipe, and I'm going to make those tonight. So as I said, the time has come for me to shape my bread, and okay, is this going to cooperate? There we go. Okay, so as I said, now is the time to shape our sourdough and put it in the fridge to proof. Now, some people use baskets for this. Banton, I don't know, something baskets, I don't know. I don't have one, and I don't think you need one. I've never used one when I make sourdough. I just have a really big Pyrex bowl, which, fun fact, I got this at the thrift store for like $5. And I'm gonna use the same towel that I covered my sourdough with in the oven. And what you wanna do is sprinkle a little bit of flour at the bottom of the towel in the bowl. And then I just kinda, sorry, I know you can't see this. I just kinda take my hand and I spread the flour around. You use as much or as little as you want. Sorry, this is not the best angle, but just get flour all over that towel. What the flour does, it stops it from sticking. Good enough. And next, this is what my dough looks like coming out of the oven. And I'm just gonna kind of scrape it. Scrape it up with my hands. It does not want to come loose. Okay, got it. And I don't know if this is the proper way to do this, but really what I'm gonna do is take it and just sort of roll it around on itself like this. Again, not the best angle, I'm sorry, but I am not a professional YouTuber. I just have a phone in an island, okay? In a dream, apparently. So we are going to just kind of pull it over on itself. Like you're kind of pushing it back. And make sure your counter is clean. If you are like me and you're doing this on your counter, which my counter is clean. And then you will get, it'll kind of look like this on the bottom. And I just do this a little bit until I get a decent ball shape up top. And what you want to do is you want to plop the smooth side down. And do it again. You plop the smooth side down, aka the top of what you're rounding out in the bottom of the basket, because that's going to be the top of your loaf. So plop it down in. So what you have is your dough looking like this in the towel. And then I just kind of pinch the bottom over on itself. And this is gonna go, it's whatever, need to stop touching it. This is gonna go in the fridge for 2 hours. So I was gonna do my dishes first, but I don't wanna do that. I'm just gonna start these scones. So that's what we're gonna do. And I guess I will just do the best I can with the angles here. Luckily this recipe is in grams and I have a food scale. So that will make it a lot easier and a lot less dishes. So first, we have 370 grams of flour, 60 grams of sugar. Okay, we need 6 grams of salt and baking powder, 15 grams. Now we're gonna mix this with a fork. So next, we are going to grate in half a stick of butter. Look at that. And pro tip is as if I'm a pro, do it on the wrapper that the butter came in, because then you're done. Basically, you just want to kind of cut the butter in, kind of taking a fork and mixing it in, but also kind of cutting it in, I guess, to make the pieces smaller. I don't think this needs to be perfect. I just don't think you want any big chunks of butter in here. Apparently that's good. And next we fold in 250 grams of chocolate chips. And if I'm doing this right, your dough or batter, whatever you want to call it, should look a little bit like this. You can see the butter is still a little chunky and the chocolate chips are pretty evenly distributed. We have a new bowl and we are supposed to take 120 grams of sourdough starter, cream, milk, eggs, and vanilla. So let's do it. Sourdough starter is very eager to be used. Add 60 grams of cream. For heavy cream, I don't have heavy cream, but I do have half and half. So I am just gonna use this. So I need 40 grams of milk. Need 2 eggs. Try it right here. Okay, that egg does not look good. Yeah, I had a batch of eggs that I cracked one and it kind of came out green. And that one did the same thing, but luckily I caught it before any got in here. I don't know what would make an egg green. I don't really want to know. And then 4 grams of vanilla. Now we're gonna take that off the scale. We're gonna mix it. I learned that you shouldn't mix stuff on top of your scale because apparently that is not good for it and can mess it up and make it so it doesn't weigh things properly. And you always want your scale to weigh things properly. Sourdough starter is looking very stringy. I'm gonna try my best to dissolve it. Gotta put a little elbow grease in it. We're done with the sourdough starter mixology. And now I'm gonna take this and put it into my other bowl. Mix it until it resembles pie dough. I said if you have a lot of flour on the edges of your bowl to just add a tablespoon of cream to loosen it up. And I think I'm gonna do that because I do have quite a bit of flour on the side of my bowl. And I am getting stuff all over me.
So you shouldn't feel like obligated to do it and like.
Oh, again, it is later. In fact, it is like almost 7 o'clock and this day of baking has dragged on a lot longer than I thought it would. But I bake off our sourdough and I'm gonna start my yogurt so that it can incubate, ferment overnight. I don't know what the right word is, but yeah. So I just preheated my oven to 450 and I am going to put my Dutch oven in there because you want to let your Dutch oven get hot while your oven heats up. And while I do that and wait for that to get up to temp, I am going to go get my Instant Pot and I'm going to start my yogurt and show you guys how I do that. So our oven is preheated and all that I'm doing, super easy, some unbleached parchment paper. I just have a square of it. Gonna get my bread out. The texture is very smooth and it's got a little spring to it, but you know, still kind of indented. Anyway, I'm gonna dump this over onto my parchment. This is what it's looking like before we put it in the Dutch oven. I did do some scoring. I normally don't get that artistic with it, but yeah, I guess we'll see how it comes out. Bread is in the oven. We're gonna let it bake with the cover on in the Dutch oven for 40 minutes at 450. And then when that's done, we're gonna take the cover off and let it bake for 15 to 20 more. Okay, so I have my Instant Pot right here. And I apologize for the lighting in my kitchen. I am not a professional YouTuber and my bigger overhead light is way too harsh. And this one isn't bright enough, but I prefer this one to the too bright one, so bear with me. I have my Instant Pot. Just plugged it in. I am going to put in my milk. Hold. Okay, so I am using skim milk to make my yogurt because I am trying to eat in a little bit of a calorie deficit right now. You can certainly use whole milk, you can use 1%, 2%. I've done a couple of variations with different percentages and I find that obviously the whole milk will give you a fuller, thicker, creamier flavor, but I really like the skim milk. It tastes just fine to me and it fits my macro goals. So I have a gallon and then a half gallon. It's a lot of milk. I've been doing this for a couple weeks now, making yogurt in this thing. And I get quite a bit when I make a gallon, but I still have room in here for more milk. So I'm gonna try to do a gallon and a half and then see how much that yields when I'm done. So I'm literally just gonna pour this in the Instant Pot. Who needs a tripod when you have a Stanley? I mean, for real. see if this will all fit in here. Yeah, I'm using off-brand milk. If you want to buy the fancy organic stuff, be my guest. I'm just making yogurt with it, so it doesn't really matter. And I don't know why I'm using lactose-free for the half gallon and then regular for the other gallon. I don't know. It's not like I have issues with lactose. I am gonna use, so I do not have a yogurt function on this. I know some Instant Pots do. So I'm just gonna hit the saute function, which is right there. So what we're doing is we are heating the milk up to 180 degrees, and then we're gonna take this out of the Instant Pot. We're gonna let it sit on the counter and cool back down to anywhere from 110 to 115 degrees. Then we are going to take a cup of the milk, mix it with yogurt as our starter, add that back in. We're gonna put the cover back on, and we're gonna put this in the oven with the light on overnight, like I did my bread earlier. And then that is going to create a warm environment where it can incubate, ferment? I don't know. Again, I don't know what the right word is, but it's the perfect environment to make yogurt in. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm just gonna keep kind of stirring this. And I do have a thermometer that I'm gonna use just to monitor the temperature. Like I said, it does take quite a while to heat up, but you wanna check it, and you never wanna stray too far for too long. So now we wait. So yogurt is hot. I pulled it out of the base over here, and I'm just gonna let this cool. This part does take a while, so probably by the time my sourdough is done baking in like another 40 minutes, it might be like 3/4 of the way cooled down. I don't know, we'll see. Just took the bread out of the oven, and it's looking a little more crispy on top than normal, but I'm like super happy with the way that the scoring came out. So yeah, sourdough is done. So finally, the milk has cooled down. It only took almost 2 hours, but all I'm gonna do now is I have 2 of these individual cups of Faya 0%. This is gonna be my yogurt starter. I could use the little bit of yogurt that I have in my fridge that's left over from last time I made yogurt, but I did add vanilla and maple syrup to it, and I just don't know how that would impact it. So I'm just gonna use these, super cheap, whatever. I'm gonna mix these 2 in this bowl, and then I'm gonna take like a cup or 2 of milk out of here, whisk it all together, and then whisk it into the big pot of milk here. That took forever to cool. So yogurt has been mixed in with milk. I whisked it in here. I am gonna put the pot back in the base, put the lid on the base, and then just tuck it in my oven with the light on for, I usually go 10 to 11 hours. It's 9 p.m. now. I'll probably take it out between 7 and 8. And then I will continue the yogurt tutorial in the morning. And honestly, I'm probably just gonna go to bed. I'm really tired. It's been a long afternoon in the kitchen. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Happy Saturday. It's late. It's like 11:30. I was pretty busy this morning. I obviously showed some clips of me getting my yogurt out of the oven, getting it into the fridge. I usually let mine drain or strain for a couple hours, because not only do you want to give it time for the whey to strain out, so you can dump it off, but you also want to give it time to chill so it can get nice and thick. So I did that this morning, and I'm making more sourdough because I had a lot of starter from yesterday still, and I'm gonna try to make a double chocolate coffee sourdough. I found the recipe for that on Pinterest this morning, and I will post that if it works out okay. If it's a flop, then I'm not gonna bother to share it and save you guys the misery. So other than that, I put laundry away this morning. I actually got on my spin bike in the basement. I did a 40-minute spin ride, which felt really good. The weather is kind of yucky today, as I'm sure you guys can see. I'll kind of show what the view looks like out my windshield, but yeah, so for the afternoon, I have my meal prep planned, which is pretty easy this week, luckily, which is probably good considering all of the other stuff that I've made. Geez, by the end of the weekend, it will have been 2 loaves of sourdough, 1 batch of scones. I may make some bacon and cheddar scones for rye. We have a lot of bacon in the freezer we have to use up, and I actually have some cheddar cheese I need to use up. So I think that would be a great way to use those things up. And I am gonna I'm going to brown the beef for my Big Mac salads. I'm gonna prep some pickled onions for those because we're almost out. I'm gonna make my dressing, which is just a mixture of condiments for my salad, and I'm gonna mix up my overnight oats, super easy, and that's pretty much it. It sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. I'm probably gonna try to start editing this video later. I wanted to just have a chill Saturday afternoon and a chill Sunday. So I think we're on track to be able to do that. I'm on my way to town right now to go meet up with some friends for lunch, which is great because I do have to get a couple things in town. I also have to stop at the library and renew a library book because I keep forgetting to do that. And I'm not even halfway done with it. So I think it's overdue. It feels kind of weird to be breaking rules, but I'm really not good at that. But yeah, so that's what Saturday is looking like. Hello again, it's 2 o'clock. I am back from lunch, and I'm going to take care of some of the stuff in my kitchen, and I'm gonna take care of my yogurt. Note to self, if you're gonna do 1.5 gallons of milk at once, you need to get a bigger bowl because you'll see. There is a lot of whey that came off this, but this is what the yogurt looks like. I am going to, well, as you can see, like the cheesecloth kind of folded in on itself, but the yogurt is solid and will come right away from it. So I'm just gonna take this out, and then I'm gonna dump the whey, and then I'm gonna put the yogurt in this bowl. And then I'm probably gonna mix up my overnight oats. And then whatever's left for yogurt, I will just put in a container in the fridge. So this is what yogurt looks like. So you can tell it's kind of jiggly. You can always siphon off some of the whey that you drained off to make it creamier. I dumped all mine because there was so much of it. So I'm just gonna go with it like this. You can add sweetener, you can add vanilla, really anything you want to it at this point, but I'm just gonna leave it the way it is and make up my chia seed overnight oats. Put together my chia seed overnight Greek yogurt oats. I don't know really what I call these, but we're gonna put them together. So I am prepping 5 servings, so I have 5 containers. You can mix this in a bowl and then distribute if you want. I just find this easier. So gonna get out my food scale. I'm probably only gonna film one of these, and then I will do the rest off camera just for the sake of getting stuff done. But I'm gonna tweak my recipe a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit lower calorie than I have been. So we're gonna try it and see how it goes. I do 300 grams of yogurt. I'm just gonna do 200 this time. Which isn't very much, and I've been doing 20 grams of oats. I do want to make this a little more low carb because I do like adding more toppings. So I'm gonna try 15 grams. And then chia seeds, I'm gonna do, I think 8 grams of these. Because these are what make it really thick and yummy. And protein, probably do half a scoop, like 13 grams, 15 grams, excuse me. We'll do 20. It landed at 20. I'm not that concerned over 5 grams of protein. And to make this, what's the word I'm looking for? To make this come together, we need a little more liquid. So I am going to add a couple splashes of almond milk until we get the consistency that we want. I just put in about 40 grams. Give this. All right, I'm gonna do a little more almond milk. We'll do 60 grams. Okay, so it's more like 70. Stir. There we go. And so this is kind of what we're working with. It gets this really nice kind of pudding consistency. But once we put it in the fridge and let those chia seeds soak up everything overnight, that's when it will look really good and thick. Products, I have 2 chocolate here and then 3 vanilla. I did add a teaspoon of vanilla extract to all of these. You could even add some like PB2 if you wanted to make them like a peanut butter sort of flavor too, but I'm just gonna leave them the way they are for now. Hello vlog, it is a couple hours later, 7:15 to be exact. And I'll be honest, after I took care of my yogurt and made my oats, I got really tired. And I did not film a whole lot of the rest of my meal prep, but that's okay. I am trying to find a new routine with meal prepping. Like I said yesterday, I used to do it on Sunday mornings, but that's not always an option now on weeks that I go to church. So we'll find a new rhythm. And I think that the idea of filming a meal prep wouldn't be that big of a deal if I was still doing it every Sunday morning, every week, like clockwork. But it got done. And I made a lot of fun things this weekend. And definitely not going to eat it all. I definitely have a lot to share. But this was fun. And I hope that it at the very least maybe inspired you to try making sourdough or making yogurt or just making something, maybe making something that you normally buy at the store homemade, or even just trying something new baking wise that you've never done before, like I did with scones. Or maybe you just make your own pickled onions, because those are really easy. And yeah, I think I'm gonna close the vlog out here though. And thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, just make sure you do that if you haven't and you enjoyed what you saw here today. I'm really glad that you're here watching, and I have a lot of fun making these, and yeah, I hope you'll stick around and see what's to come. All right, bye.